So I'm Corwin Davis. I'm a preacher, a scholar, a student, a writer, brother, son, uncle, lover, friend. But I grew up in a very predominantly white area of Tennessee, rural Tennessee. And in my graduating class of 250, I was maybe one of 6 or 7 people of color at all, let alone black people. So I think I grew up, even when I came through an undergrad, which is a predominantly white institution, I think that I've always assumed that, not that racism didn't exist or that we were beyond color, but I just assumed that it didn't matter as much until there were moments in undergrad where I realized I'm not what they consider to be mainstream. And it was a reckoning of whether or not I want to keep contorting myself in order to fit into their perception of what's mainstream, or whether I can stand in what I am as a black man to say where I'm at is already good enough. But I do think blackness requires an awareness. It requires the bravado to say, yeah, I'm black. And I accept that and I love it and I affirm it about myself. And that stands opposite to how I used to be, which in many ways was reluctant. Because I thought fitting in, embracing whiteness was going to give me some advantage that it wasn't built to do. It never was going to do, They are always going to view you as different. You can live in the same dorm with them, you can attend the same schools, you could have a higher GPA, you could do more in the community, it doesn't matter. They're always going to set you as a class apart. I will never forget, at this point I was a junior. It was 2015, and I was in my bedroom in an apartment on campus. So, we had a common area, that everybody had, but I was in my bedroom. And I was glued to the television watching the riots going on in Ferguson. But these were not even the initial riots. These were the ones after the acquittal. And so I'm glued to the TV, just amazed, trying to figure out what I can do to help, or what can I do at all, or what do I even think about this? And I remember 3 white guys who lived in my room with me. One of them came into my room and said, "What are you watching?" And I had to look at them and say, this is happening, that there's people in the streets and that this officer was acquitted of killing Michael Brown, and they were completely oblivious to the whole entire situation. And I could take ignorance about a subject. I can take a difference of opinion. We're still going to war a little bit, but I can understand that. I cannot fathom just outright apathy and indifference. I think that's what pissed me off, is I'm sitting here with them in the same apartment with me, and it's not that they thought, he should not have been, it's not that they thought the police officer should have been acquitted, or that they thought Michael Brown deserved to be killed in the street. They were not aware, and they did not care. They were completely apathetic. And I think that to me was the deeper wound, is this has not even come across your radar. And for me, this was a life transformative moment. This is the first time in our generation, I think, where we had seen this such intense passion portrayed, in the media in this way, particularly in regards to protests and to Black Lives Matter was a movement that was started, that was parallel for the Black Power movement, but for us it was the first time seeing it. We'd only read about the Black Power movement. And y'all didn't give a fuck. I mean, how am I supposed to grapple with that? Except to say, well, either I'm going to be on this side or the other, but straddling the fence isn't going to work here. And then I think it called upon me, because I was a religion student, I was, in the ordination process, my denomination. It called on me in a different way to think, what do I have to say about this religiously and theologically? And how do I grapple with God's role in this? And if I suppose myself to be a person of faith, how do I grapple with my responsibilities? Because it's more to me than just, temporal, but what do I think the divine or the Almighty has to say about this, or wants me to do about it? It's ensuring that the black male, does not try in many ways to recreate what white men do. And so, if we want to own our blackness, accept it and love it, affirm it as beautiful, that involves all blackness, So yeah, black men are great. I love us. But I don't think we're being as great as we can be when we are also making space for standing alongside, being in concert with black women and black gender non-conforming people and black trans people, black queer people. And to separate those, I think, is a danger. And I think it just repeats the cycle of white supremacy. You know, it's just a different master. And that doesn't serve us, you know? It doesn't serve us to emulate oppression. And I think black men do that very well, a good number of them. But I think it always has to be the most pressing issue, is who are we excluding? Or who are we not intentionally including? And that should always be this. There should always be us making more space for more voices to be heard, for more people to sit at the table. Because more likely than not, they probably know more than we do. You know, black people have been and continue to be the most creative forces of our society. Who knows what music and art and literature and thought and scholarship and all that might emerge when we continue to expand blackness to include all of these voices as equally black. So I do think that requires inner work. You know, it requires one to first come to terms with that themselves and then walk fully in it. But then when you've done that, you know, make space. We live under such duress. And we live under such trauma, you know, that has been inflicted upon us generationally. And part of that duress and that trauma are these compounding matrices of domination that socialize us to be one way or the other, right? And so we see caricatures of black men, that they are either, you know, thugs, sagging pants, smoking weed all day, listening to rap, going to jail 5 and 6 times in their lifetime. We have this stereotype, this caricature. Or we have, you know, basketball player, rapper, this inordinate amount of wealth and jewelry and cars, you know. And there's not much space provided for everyone else and everything else. Both of those are black men. But so is the nerdy one who's playing video games, or, you know, who's reading or watching anime. So is the one who's studying Harvard Law School. So is the one who dropped out of high school and is working at Burger King. So is the one who's a drag queen in New York. You know, these are all black men. And it does an injustice to assume that you have to be one or the other, or you only can fit in boxes A, B, or C. If you're black and you identify as male, you're a black man. I'm a human being. As a black man, I exist. I am. I be. And so I'm good. You know? We don't have to abide by respectability politics. I don't have to talk a certain way. I don't have to look a certain way. I don't have to say what you want me to say in order to be good. I'm here. I'm sitting in this chair. I'm existing in this world. You know, hate it or love it. I'm good. And that bothers people, though. Particularly white people who want you to meet certain standards in order to be good, or want you to get certain degrees or certain accreditations or speak a certain way or shop in certain places. And the moment that you step out of your place, you're a threat. Period. They want you to stay in your place and to stay in your lane. Sorry. I'm just not going to do that. And I hope I can ask myself that in 5 years. You know, and still breaking out of boxes that I never should have been in the first place.